Alright, what is up, guys? This is a full breakdown on the exact backend system that prints over $50,000 per month for creators and my creators in particular, but just any creator. I've seen this work with people as well, even if you're not working with me. Like, this is something that you can implement for yourself. So, what I'm going to be breaking down in this video is basically multi-channel lead capture. So exactly how people are captured from Instagram and YouTube, what funnels they go down, etc. Controlled qualification, so to make sure that they're qualified before hopping on a call. How are they being qualified to make sure that these prospects actually have the budget to work with you? Automated nurture, so making sure that they're properly nurtured, automated email sequences, SMS sequences, etc. No-show prevention, so after a call is booked, make sure that the no-show rate is super low and that they're actually showing up to the call ready and ready to buy. And then pre-handling objections with like content, stuff like that. Optimize sales calls, real-time data tracking, so how are we tracking all of this in the back end? And then the continuous improvement loop, so that we can make sure that we're hitting our KPIs, that we're looking at all the data that we're tracking, and we know exactly what we need to optimize, right? These are the typical outcome benchmarks that I look for when working with an offer or working with a new creator. And it really depends, but over 30 to 40% close rate on qualified calls is necessary. If you're not hitting over 30% close rate, like you just don't have a dialed in enough back end. Then a over 80% show rate, around a 70% qualified to booked call rate. So every single person that is qualified and has gone through your funnel, they should be hopping on a call. 70% of them at least. And like typically I aim for like 90%. And then assuming you're hitting all of your KPIs, even with a super low close rate, like 30%, if you can have the front end dialed in enough and know how to do call to actions and get 10 qualified calls per week, you should easily be able to see 50K plus per month with a $5,000, $4,000 offer. All right. Now, the reason that I know that this works is because this is the exact backend system that I've implemented for my creators with Tommy, where we just launched his offer very recently. He literally only had 2,000 subscribers on YouTube and a little over 1,000 people in a Discord server, and we were able to turn that into over $10,300 cash collected in just 6 days with his high ticket offer launch and over 20.3K total revenue. And we're just looking to scale that even further and get him to 50, 60, 70 months, right? And by the way, before he started working with us, he literally had no way to monetize his audience at all, so he was making $0 from his content. One of our other clients in the BizOff space, we scaled to over $61,800 in a single month. This is the fan basis, and we collected over $15,000 on Zelle. And as you can see, this is why our creators pay us so much money for these systems that we implement for them. Now, starting off with lead capture and qualification, the two main lead generation sources for any B2C offer, if you're a coach, are going to be Instagram and YouTube. Instagram, you're generating leads through stories with direct CTAs. You have reels with high retention hooks and a simple CTA format like DM me keyword. YouTube is going to be more long form educational content. We really want to nurture them as much as possible, give them as much value, spend as much time with you as possible so that they're ready to buy. And there will be like system breakdowns, case studies and results, so they can see it's proven system and that you have a proven offer. And then a simple CTA in like the description in the video to apply or book a call. And the way that these leads are going to be coming into your funnel to start are really going to be two different ways. With Instagram, you want to have a DM funnel, and you can also run an application or like a VSL landing page funnel. Towards the end, as you scale, you can move on to like webinar funnels, paid challenge funnels, stuff like that. And then with YouTube, you'll be running like a VSL landing page funnel as well. The DM funnel basically looks like this. So you get a new DM, someone sends that CTA keyword, or you have a new follower and you're doing outreach, right? And so the setter is going to reach out or respond to their message, qualify them, make sure that they actually have intent to work with you, that they're in a good position for you to work with them, and then get them booked on a call. With the VSL application funnel, there will be a landing page, an application form that they fill out, And if they're qualified, they're sent to book a call as well. Lead qualification basically looks like this. Qualified leads are going to be people that fit your ICP. They have buying intent and they can actually afford the offer, so they have the budget to do so. They're sent directly to booking a call. And with unqualified leads, these are people who aren't ready to buy, or they don't have the budget, or the timing is like misaligned, right? And what they're sent into, instead of just saying, hey, we can't work with you, none of that. Instead, what you want to do is send them a free asset, case study, value video, or like light nurtures to make sure that, once they have the budget, you're not losing a potential prospect and client, right? They're going to be coming to you to work with you because you gave them free value before. And, if they were just lying about the budget, then this is great because it gets their buying intent even higher. And throughout this whole thing in your CRM, literally everything is logged. Nothing is manual. It's all automated in the back end with like Zapier, whatever you use. It's all tracked in the back end to make sure that we know exactly where these leads are coming from, their entry path, what's the qualification status of them, the booking status, do they need follow-ups, do they need confirmations, do they need to be outreached, everything like that. And when you use a CRM correctly, you can also implement the 5-minute rule. So the second an application is submitted, after 5 minutes, if the call has still not been booked, so if they filled out the application, got sent to booking, and they still haven't booked a call, then within 5 minutes, a setter or a dialer is going to come in, reach out, confirm, and make sure that they actually get on a call. So you're not just letting these people seep through the cracks, right? Next up is going to be booking and nurturing. So after the call is booked, what happens next? How can we make sure that they actually show up to the call, that they're ready to buy? Because we want our closers to be more like cashiers instead of having prospects hop on a call, having no idea what's in the program, or just completely not hopping in the call, and then it becomes a complete hassle for our closers to actually get them into the program, right? So immediately after the call is booked, the lead is logged into the CRM, all their application answers, setter notes, everything is logged there as well. And automated nurturing begins, so email sequences, having the closer reach out, SMS confirmations, all that. Yeah, confirmation protocol activates. And then from there, we have the pre-call nurture sequence. So imagine that from the time the prospect books a call to the call day is like 3 or 4 days, right? Immediately after they book a call, they are going to get a booking confirmation email. They're going to get an SMS confirmation. Then on day 1 or 2, they're given more client results, more proof assets to watch, and email nurturing. Day 2 to 3, more email nurturing. The closer reaches out to confirm the mandatory pre-call video was watched, which basically explains, the origin story of the creator, system overview, and call expectations. And then day 3 to 4, there's more email nurturing. The closer confirms that the prospect is ready to hop on the call. And then on the actual call day, they're getting reminders, 24-hour reminders, 1-hour reminders. And then if they haven't confirmed any of these yet or responded to the reminders, the closer is reaching out and dialing prospects all day if they haven't confirmed. And just go into that a little bit more for preventing no-shows. If the prospect has confirmed, the lead is going to confirm, and the closer is fully prepped with like the answers, everything like that. And with the unconfirmed path, the dialer activates, so they're going to be dialing up that prospect all day, and they're going to be getting hourly confirmation calls until call time. And this is what one of the automations that we've applied for one of our creators has looked like before. It's basically immediately when the event is booked, 30 minutes before the event starts, 6 hours before the call, 24 hours before the call, they're getting SMS confirmations, email nurturing, all that good stuff. Then comes the actual sales call that is taking place. So we want to make sure that our closers are prepared for the call, right? So before the call, the closer is going to see the application answers, CRM history, setter notes, all in the CRM. And by the way, guys, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager, if you didn't know that. It's basically just where you track the status of every single lead that comes in, exactly what the next steps are, all of their data, contact information, everything like that. And then comes the actual sales call. So if you're using a closer, you want to make sure that they're onboarded, they're trained on the offer, they know exactly how to run it, what goes on inside, and the whole call is recorded, right? Within the first 5 minutes of the call, they're basically just building rapport, then goes on to discovery, what is your prospect's pain points, their dream goals, what's been holding them back, everything like that. Then presenting the offer. If there are any objections, We want to be using really dialed in closers. Like we're hiring 18 players that can easily handle these objections. But if we did all of our pre-call nurturing right and post-booking sequence right, there should be no objections when they hop on the call, which is the best part about this thing. But if there happens to be one or two, then the closer handles those, and they take the close and get the payment. And total calls run about 40 to 45 minutes. And then when collecting payment, there's really two paths you can go down. It's either the prospect is paying in full, the full price today, or they're financing it with one of our payment processors, either Klarna, Afterpay, Split It, something like that, whatever we have on the offer, right? And then from there, every single sales call is going to be recorded so that we can gather the utmost intelligence from every single thing. And every call is going to be generating data like what are their main objections, what are their biggest pain points in their life, what questions did they have, so that every call is giving us more of an understanding of our ICP. And every single sales call that's taken is going to feed directly into optimization so we know exactly who to target, how to reposition ourselves, how to make sure that people are showing up to these calls ready to buy. And I'll just show you guys something really quick over here. This is our sales framework. So after the call is booked, we're using the nurture section to make sure that we're maintaining strong show up rates. But there's either two pathways that they can go down. They're either converted on the call or they're not converted. If they're not converted, everything is trapped in the CRM. If they paid a deposit, you schedule the next meeting on the call. They have to pay a non-refundable deposit of $500 plus, and automated emails, texts of testimonials, case studies, and student results are all being sent. If you need a follow-up call, you're scheduling the next meeting on the call, or you're choosing a date on call for a follow-up text, and you're sending out automated emails, texts with testimonials, case studies, and more student results. If they weren't to close, you're just going to do the same thing. Follow up with all those automated emails and texts. And if they were a no-show, you have an email and text to reschedule the lead, send them more nurturing sequences, and if they've ghosted, they're not responding, you're going to call, text, email, do everything we can to make sure that they actually show up to the call and that they get into the program. Lastly is going to be how are we collecting data throughout this whole thing, and how are we optimizing to make sure that we're retargeting our audience, we're positioning ourselves as best as possible, we're maintaining high show-up rates, high booking rates, high close rates, everything like that. So for every single one of my clients, I build out a live KPI dashboard. This is honestly something that I've personalized very much for just my specific creators. I haven't seen anyone else in the space offer a dashboard like this where you can literally see every single category, tracking everything in the back end so that there's no disconnect between the growth operator and the offer owner, right? And what categories are we tracking exactly? We're tracking lead generation, so the number of DMs that are coming in, the number of applications that are coming in, the source breakdown, so exactly where they're coming from, what videos they watched, what was their journey before coming into the funnel. Then qualification, so what is the qualified rate of people that are going through, starting the applications or sending keywords in the DMs. What were the reasons that they were disqualified? Then we're tracking booking. So what is the book rate? What is the booked rate per specific setter? Then for nurture, we're tracking every single email and the percentage that it's been opened. We want to know what emails are performing the best. We're tracking video completions and pre-call asset engagement. With confirmation, we're going to be tracking the show-up rate, the no-show rate. With sales, we want to be tracking the exact close rate per specific closer, the average deal size, and the percentage of PIFs to financing. And then with drop-off intelligence, we're tracking all this in the back end. So on your VSL, we're tracking exactly where people are being dropped off at exactly what timestamps, what emails are underperforming, and what repeated objections are we getting on sales calls, in DMs, everything like that. And all of this is going to lead to an optimization feedback loop, so where we can take all of this data and know exactly what to work on next, right? So every metric triggers an action. If we're getting low qualification, we need to fix targeting and content, right? If we're getting a high no-show rate, we need to strengthen the post-booking nurture sequence to make sure people are actually showing up to these calls and showing up ready to buy, right? If we're getting repeated objections, we're going to be creating content handling these objections that we give before a call for prospects to watch or just for an audience to watch in general, right? And then the VSL drop-off rate, we know exactly what sections to rewrite to make sure that we retain engagement. And if there's a low closer performance, then we're going to be reviewing their calls and retraining them so that we can boost that performance and make sure that we're getting the highest close rate possible. Now, when I tell you this is literally the exact backend system that I implement for my creators, obviously every single creator, every single offer is going to be a little bit different. What assets are you building out? But if you can actually dial this in, you can easily hit 50K plus months. Obviously, the front end has to be dialed in as well. You have to be creating content that gets people interested in a program, right? And I'm going to make a separate video on that and how to do like CTAs correctly, all that. But if you know how to get leads and you know how to attract eyeballs, if you have a backend system this dialed, like there's nothing stopping you from easily hitting 50K plus per month with an info offer, right? This is why our creators literally pay us like so much money. I'm talking like $6,000 upfront, $5,000 upfront, all this stuff. It's for this backend system and for our help, right? So if you want to implement this yourself, like please by all means, I want you to as well. Like I want to see y'all win. But if you want help building this out for yourself, like this is what we do. So you can hit me up on Instagram. It should be in the description. Just send me a DM. I try to respond to everything. And we can go from there. Peace.